Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Tuesday, October 15th, and it is early. It is so early, but that's okay. I like waking up early. I'm a night person and a morning person, which is not good for survival. Yeah, Disney nerd. I hate cold. But I also hate extreme heat. Tell me why I live in Texas. When I moved to Texas, I thought it was going to be like Florida. Florida it's hot, but it's like not generally over like 98. Like the hottest it gets in Florida, especially when I lived in Miami, is like 98. In Texas, it's like, it's 113 today, and not the heat index, like literally 113. And then it has snowed like 4 or 5 times. Uh, since I've lived in Texas, and when the freeze happened and we lost power for a week, that was some traumatic ass shit. I've never thought that I was going to die during any natural disaster other than the freeze. Um, yeah, that was pretty fucking traumatic. Good morning, Missy. Thank you for joining so early. I know it's super early for you. I love you for that. Good morning, Defense Attorney Meow, Disney Nerd, Chinny. I appreciate y'all being here. But yeah, the freeze, I didn't have power for a week. And it was 4 degrees, I think, when I lost power. I was terrified. Like my ears were cold. Like the only part that wasn't covered was this. And I am ready for hurricanes. I'm prepared for hurricanes, but I wasn't prepared to not have power for a week in freezing temperatures. Now I am. I have a heat blanket, one of those heating blankets, but I also have like this big ass thing that you use generally for camping that you can plug stuff into and that you can charge in your car and all that shit. I will never be cold like that again. Never, ever, ever, ever. But I also like Texas is gonna uh, get attached to the national grid now. Supposedly, that's what I saw. Oh, my bun is falling over like Free Willy's fin. There we go. Okay. Yeah, and no, I have not had coffee this morning. This is just me bright and early. My roommate is happy that I'm a morning person and I'm in a good mood because he wakes up early and doesn't, want to deal with me in a shitty mood in the morning. Anyway, all right. So the first few stories I have this morning are all corruption in the court. So I have a judge that was removed for being racist. I have a political candidate that is in court for pretending to be other people online and using racist posts. There's a former sheriff crying in court being sentenced. And then there's somebody else that was threatening city officials. So I only have so many videos saved for this morning, and if I run out, I'll move over to uh, the other videos that I have from yesterday. Um, Jury selection has gone through with Delphi. I always want to call it Delphini, even though it doesn't even have an N. Yeah, Canada. I could never live in Canada. There's no fucking way. There's no way. There's no way. I'll come visit y'all when it's like summer there. But mm-mm. There's just no way. I don't want to go outside and like the outside could kill me. Like I couldn't live in Alaska. I couldn't live. No. Mm-mm. I hear it's very nice up there. And if you're built for the cold, then more power to you. I'm not. My friend in New York doesn't mind it because she's like, "Oh, you can layer up." I'm like, no. Anyway, all right. Well, let's get on to the shit show. I do have some sounds this morning that I have added. So here are some new sounds that I have. First, I have the Price is Right horn. Why are you not playing? What is going on? Why can't I hear you? Hold on. You guys probably heard it, but I didn't hear it. No, it's not playing. Why aren't you playing? Oh, I have it down. I'm an idiot.
Mama,
Hold on.
what's that?
I have lots of.
What's that?
I, I have this. I have this.
Surprise, motherfucker.
I'm in danger.
Damn!
You've reached your limit on talking.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
And that's what I got. So hopefully you guys heard all those noises. I added a bunch of noises to my StreamYard. I heard them, so I hope you all heard them. So we'll see when those apply. Obviously, I'm not going to play that during very serious stories, but we do have some pretty silly stories too sometimes. So trying to, be like Steve. Anyway, all right, so let's move on to a judge who is claiming that she is not a racist. She's a new racist, whatever the hell that is. She's accused of making racist comments and using derogatory language. Can't do that as a judge. You totally have to be impartial and cannot, not like people due to race, religion, etc., etc. That's not good. That's pretty bad because if you're a judge, you have all different sorts of people. So let's see, what area is this? ABC 7, Detroit. So this is out of the Detroit area. What state is Detroit in? Michigan? It's Michigan, right? Yeah, anyway.
Who makes life-altering decisions for families and those with disabilities, now accused of making racist comments and using shocking, derogatory language. Thank you for joining us for 7 News Detroit at 6. I'm Mike Duffy. 7 investigator Heather Catallo joins us now with more about why an Oakland County probate judge has been removed from her docket. Heather?
Mike, a high-ranking probate court official says he's been recording Judge Kathleen Ryan's statements for years. Even though probate court administrator Edward Hutton says he's been harassed by Judge Ryan, he says he does not want this to be about him. Hutton says he's coming forward now because he wants to protect the people who have to face Judge Ryan in the courtroom.
The Honorable Kathleen A. Ryan presiding.
Good morning. You may be seated.
After more than 13 years on the bench, Oakland County Chief Probate Pro Tem Judge Kathleen Ryan is out of her courtroom. Chief Probate Judge Linda Hallmark removed Judge Ryan from her docket last week, announcing that a complaint about internal allegations of unprofessional conduct was sent to the Judicial Tenure Commission. Judge Ryan was arrested in 2021 for domestic violence, but those charges were later dismissed. And now she's back in the headlines.
Well, if you're black from any other country, you're doing way better. If you're an American black person, then you're a lazy piece of.
The 7 investigators have obtained the recordings that county officials say prompted Judge Ryan's removal.
Oh, he's just, I have no use for him.
She's made it a living hell in the past 6 years. I mean, it's been terrible. It's cost me relationships. I think it's affected my health. Can't sleep.
Attorney Edward Hutton is the Oakland County Probate Court Administrator. He's in charge of running everything that's not under the judge's purview inside one of the state's largest probate courts. Hutton alleges Judge Ryan has been calling him both during work and after hours for years. And Hutton says during those hours and hours of calls, Judge Ryan said highly inappropriate things.
Why did you start recording the calls?
I just felt like it wasn't going to change. Nothing's manipulated in it. It's conversations that I was a part of, and I'm absolutely willing to testify to the authenticity of every single one of them.
I can honestly say that, okay, I'm not systemically racist, I'm a new racist. I never was, but now I am because you're shoving the down my throat and making allegations that you don't know about. You're telling me who I am and you've never met me. You. You.
Hutton says the judge also used homophobic slurs about other elected officials.
You know.
And that's not all.
A lot of times they were conversations about sexual encounters that she's having with various individuals. I mean, in intimate detail.
Y'all. So, white people, let me just tell you something real quick. Don't call me and say some shit like that to me thinking that we're going to be good just because we're the same color. Because I would do the same shit. I am an undercover minority. because I am the daughter of a Cuban immigrant and I am Hispanic, even though I am white as shit. So I would narc you out so fast for being a piece of shit like this judge. And I have had white people think that they can say shit like that to me because they get comfortable. Uh, don't don't get comfortable because I will call you out so fucking fast. I hate that shit. I hate that shit. Yeah, my dad came over from Cuba when Castro took over. He would have died if he stayed in Cuba. I am the first generation in this country. Um, yeah. And my family, I don't speak Spanish because my family was scared to speak Spanish here. So, yeah, you racist judge. Fuck you. And like, why are you going to talk to your assistant about sexual encounters? He doesn't want to hear that shit. Hi, Tokyo. Yeah, Judge Fleischer's. I'm probably saying it wrong. But his Spanish is like amazing, and every time he speaks Spanish on the court, I feel like I'm in trouble because it reminds me of my abuela. Like, I feel like I'm getting it's so funny because it's like the tone and like what he's saying. I could understand a lot of Spanish, but anytime that I've tried to speak Spanish, it's like muy gringa. I'm like, yes, I know. I know.
Hutton says for years he felt like he had to play along, and he says for years he was afraid to speak up.
I didn't want to lose my job, and I didn't want to be in her crosshairs. It's such a David and Goliath situation. I don't have the power. I'm not elected. I could get fired tomorrow.
On May 24th, Hutton says he sent Chief Judge Linda Hallmark a notice of sexual harassment.
For 3 months, nothing happened.
That's why on August 22nd, Hutton says he decided to send the recordings to the Chief Justice of the state Supreme Court, Oakland County Executive David Coulter, and other public officials. And he also contacted me.
I just want to make it right. I haven't filed a lawsuit. I'm not looking for a payday. I want to keep my job and do it in peace. And I want the people in Oakland County that come to court to get a fair shake, to have their day in court, to have an unbiased trier of fact.
In that email, Hutton said Judge Ryan, quote, has vocalized her hate and contempt for various protected groups. Once the recordings were shared with those state and county officials, Judge Ryan was removed from her docket. In a statement, County Executive Coulter said, quote, there is absolutely no place for harassment of any kind or for racist or homophobic language by anyone at Oakland County, especially by someone the public must be confident will act fairly and impartially. The alleged conduct and abhorrent comments made by Judge Ryan merited her removal from the probate court docket pending further investigation.
Is Judge Ryan fit to be on the bench?
Absolutely not. Nobody with that much hate in their heart for certain people or certain groups of people, I don't believe that they could possibly make fair, unbiased decisions regarding them.
I did reach out to Judge Kathleen Ryan to talk to her about this. Her attorneys sent me this statement that says, quote, we respect the authority of the Michigan Supreme Court. However, we look forward to vindicating Judge Ryan in the appropriate forum. I also spoke to probate judge Daniel O'Brien. He says Judge Ryan's friends are supporting her and believe these statements are totally out of character for her.
All right, certainly a lot here, but what's next with the Judicial Tenure Commission?
Well, they cannot confirm or deny whether they are pursuing an investigation. There has been some reporting that suggested that the complaint against the judge involved an inappropriate personal relationship. Hutton says that is not true. He says there was no physical contact. This was strictly a sexual harassment complaint about her alleged comments that started all of this. But again, he says the bigger issue here is what the judge says about people in protected classes, and he's hoping that that is what the JTC will focus on. So everybody's just sort of waiting to see what they will do.
And it sounds like this is in its early days. We know that you're going to stay on top of it. So
how are you going to vindicate that? How are you going to vindicate that? I don't know how that hasn't happened to you, Disney nerd in West Virginia. Because it certainly happened to me in the South. Because, West Virginia is more southern than Florida. And I don't mean southern direction. I mean, like, when I think of the South, like, Florida doesn't count. Yeah, so that's the judge that Tokyo is talking about, Judge Fleischer. He's a Harris County judge. He's amazing. Yeah, so I did see that. He is one of the few Harris County judges that I respect and I want to stay a judge. I will do whatever I can for his campaign when he's up for reelection. I will endorse him. I very rarely publicly endorse people, but I would feel totally comfortable endorsing him for reelection because he's a good judge. He's a fantastic judge. He's tough when he needs to be and not tough when he needs to be. Yeah, okay. So anyway, back to Florida. What I was saying is Florida is not like the South. Like Florida is a southern state, but it's not the South. Like it's the South, like in the panhandle and like up in the top, but like everywhere below, like Florida is its own thing. Like it's really not like the South. The deep South is like Georgia, West Virginia, whatever, like that is West Virginia to me is way more southern in that sense than where at least where I lived in Florida, and I lived on two sides of the state. Anyway, but yes, we want him to stay judge. We need him to stay judge. So need to make sure that everybody knows about him, because a lot of times what happens in the local politics, people don't learn the local politicians and judges. They vote party one way or another, and then we lose some fantastic judges. There was a judge that was put in by Abbott temporarily in Harris County, and people were so mad at Republicans, they voted her out, and she cleared her docket faster than everybody that was, in the felony court. She did a fantastic job. Judge Maritza Antu, she did a fantastic job, but she lost her seat because people were mad at Republicans. And just, it's happened before where people get mad at the Democrats and they vote out all the Democratic judges. We need to stop looking at party and look at the person, especially when it comes to judges, because just because somebody's registered a certain party doesn't mean that they're doing things a certain way, So, right, that's exactly that. We need to do better as a society learning about our local politicians and learning them as people, because there's I've met a lot of local politicians in Harris County, and some are Republicans, some are Democrats, and they're good people, and then there's some shitty people on both sides. Yeah, people don't research judges, and they really need to. Good morning, Yvette. All right, so now moving on to Harris County politics. No, I'm sorry, this is Fort Bend. It's near Harris County. I think this is Fort Bend. Anyway, so the candidate is accused of using a fake account to post more racist comments about himself. He has been arrested and he had his appearance in court.
A man accused of posting fake racist comments to gain sympathy in an election is in court. Taral Patel appeared at the Fort Bend County Courthouse this morning.
He is facing 2 charges after investigators allege he used a fake Facebook account to post racist attacks against himself and Fort Bend County Judge K.P. George, his former boss. Now, Troy Kless live in Fort Bend County with the latest. Troy?
Yeah, thank you. Patel is accused of trying to garner sympathy for his own campaign for Fort Bend County Commissioner. Again, his brief court appearance a sign that the case is still ongoing. Now take a look at some video that we shot this morning. Patel and his attorney both did not answer our questions prior to the proceeding. His attorney only said that he is seeking fairness from the judge on the case and doing everything that he can to prove his client innocent. Patel is charged with misrepresentation of identity and online impersonation. Patel was a consultant for Fort Bend County Judge K.P. George's re-election campaign in 2022. Now, search warrants allege that George knew Patel was using the fake account to post the attacks. I'm told that today's hearing was held to make sure that the state is turning over all the evidence that it has to date. And although it's procedural, the judge wants to make sure that the case is moving along and moving forward. Now, Just a reminder, Fort Bend County Judge KP George has also been criminally charged as part of this investigation, and Patel is also still on the ballot for Fort Bend County Commissioner Precinct 3. He is going to be appearing back here at the courthouse in December. Reporting live in Fort Bend County, Troy Kless, KHOU 11 News.
That's pretty stupid. That's a pretty stupid thing to do, especially in a digital age. Yes, big idiot. What is with the button on the guy's jacket? I don't know. I'm like, oh, I paused it at a great time. His face is fantastic. So the next one is former Sheriff Jamie Knoll. And he is crying in court being sentenced. That'll happen. So he's sentenced to 12 years. He pled guilty to 27 felonies for theft, fraud, all sorts of shit. Like, guys, like why? You're sheriff. Anyway, all right, so let's watch him cry and apologize and blah blah blah.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity.
I need you to go a little faster. I'm going to speed you up because you're too slow. Come on. Come on. Spit it out.
As a Christian.
Oh, God. Don't start with that shit.
Mr. Goff, if it would help, you may have a seat.
I'm good. I want to make sure I can hear you. I deserve it. Okay. It's always important to acknowledge your sins, which I do. To repent, which I have and I will, and to ask for forgiveness. And I apologize. I'm sorry I wasn't able to apologize to any of the witnesses that spoke earlier. There's some reasoning that I'm not going to say because I don't want to dare make it look like I'm trying to deflect blame because it's not. The reasons of how this was allowed to happen, that's not who I am. It's definitely a big mistake that I made. But first,
I love when people get caught doing stuff and they're like, this isn't my character. It's not who I am. Really? Then why'd you do it?
victims that you haven't heard from is not me. And I apologize.
Spit it out. I don't know what the fuck he's saying.
Ask my kids to forgive me.
Nope.
Not being honest with them about where the money was spent, where it came from. My dishonesty with them has caused them all great emotional pain and suffering. And my daughter Casey could lose her freedom because of me. It's all my fault. And my family had no knowledge of the business that I was running, or how I was running it, or whether or not I had the right to tell them how they could spend their money or use their credit cards. I controlled everything when it came to our family's finances. I can think maybe over 28 years of being married that my wife may have asked for 10 checks school related that she would have ever signed in her finances. I took out the garbage. That was my wheelhouse. My family trusted me to do that. And obviously didn't do it. I prepared everyone's tax returns on TurboTax without their input. Matter of fact, when my daughter Casey, after she bonded out, she said, "Dad, could you please do my taxes? I need the money because I paid bond." And I said, "Casey, I can't do it." She'd just been charged for something that was my fault that I did on her taxes. They were victims of my deceit just like anybody else. Oh, they can forgive me.
You're gonna have to stop crying when you get to prison, dude.
Second, I asked my wife 28 years to forgive me. I understand why she wants to end our marriage. I don't blame her. I violated her trust more than once, and I lied to her. know this has caused her embarrassment and a lot of heartache and hatred being funneled towards her. I was not honest with her about the money, the credit cards, or her taxes, which I did. I'm sorry that I caused her so much pain and embarrassment, and I'm sorry. I want to apologize to the citizens of Clark County that trusted me, that voted for me, and let me be their sheriff, including everybody and some of which you heard from that helped campaign for me. I let sin overtake me, and I violated their trust, and I'm sorry. I want to apologize to the men and women of law enforcement, fire, EMS. I spent a lifetime as a law enforcement officer, volunteer fireman, and an EMT. And I know how difficult it is to do the job. My activities at times the reputation of the public safety community, and it's not fair to them. None deserve the public to look at them and worry about their integrity. My actions should not tarnish them. It's my fault. I want to apologize to my friends and colleagues that have been brought into this case because of me. I'm sorry to each and every one of you. I never asked anyone to do anything wrong. I never expected you to do anything wrong, but because of me, you have suffered. I'm sorry for this, and I apologize. I apologize to you, Judge, to the prosecutor, to the legal team, and in the end, thank them for being fair and forthright in consideration of my crimes. I do not look forward to the next 12 years, Judge, if you accept this plea, but I understand why I'll be spending time in prison, and I accept it. Finally, I ask for forgiveness. I'm a lifelong Catholic, and I understand the Lord will forgive me, and I hope each one of you can forgive me as well. Judge, I'm going to say just a short prayer because that's what I need to do. I need to make things right.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, no, I'm good. We don't need to. I'm a lifelong Catholic too, but I don't pray to Jesus and say, forgive me for stealing all this money from people. But I'm also not a strict Catholic, and clearly you're not either, sir. Anyway. So the next story is somebody that was threatening city officials, more government stuff. Don't threaten city officials either because you'll end up in jail.
Accused of making death threats toward the Bakersfield City Council was back in court today. Several city leaders were in attendance for day one of Riddhi Patel's felony preliminary hearing, including council members and the city clerk. 17's Connor Dorr files this report.
While all the council members were there as witnesses, they were dismissed to be called back at a later date. Instead, the officers that were at the council meeting back in April gave testimonies on what the council members told them at the time. 28-year-old Riddhi Patel has been charged with 21 felonies, 8 of those threatening elected officials because of the explosive remarks she made at a city council meeting back in April.
Hope one day somebody brings the guillotine and kills all of you mother.
That was a threat, what he said at the end, and so the officers are going to escort you out and take care of that.
This hearing is to determine if Patel will head to a jury trial. Judge Brian McNamara did not allow us to film anyone besides Patel, lawyers, and the judge, along with no audio of the proceedings. Police officers testified on what council members told them. He was very concerned and shocked at the statement causing him to fall back into his chair. She was scared and was considering changing her profession. Statements were concerning. In her opinion, she felt that the threats were real. He thought it to be very concerning since he has run into Patel in the past. Patel was at city council meetings regularly leading up to the remarks she made. Some council members even said she made statements to them when she saw them out in public. Council member Eric Arias said that racist pig and supporter of murder are just a few things that was said when he saw Patel at a local downtown bar. 2 city officials told officers that they did not perceive Patel's words as threatening. Councilman Bruce Freeman and Development Services Director Christopher Boyle. The case continues into its second day on Thursday. Reporting outside the Kern County.
I mean, I don't think she meant it like a direct threat. Did you guys... Do you guys know where to get a guillotine? Because I don't. I think she was just talking out her ass, which, y'all, city council meetings are not that boring, I promise. The ones in Houston, there's people, that do shit like that. There's also like people with mental health issues that go in and like say crazy shit. Like they're being stalked by people at the airport and all that. We have a couple people in Harris County that do that. So, I mean, I don't, she should have gotten in trouble, maybe banned from the meetings. I don't know if she should be. Maybe she's got mental health issues because there's somebody in Harris County. I can't name names because she has way too large of a following, even though she's a little cuckoo. That I believe that she is a danger to the city officials and the county officials. So if this woman's on that level, then then I could understand their concern. I don't know enough about this person, but anyway. So moving on, some brothers were just released after spending 24 years in prison for a crime that they did not commit.
It was 24 years ago when Green Bay brothers Robert and David Bintz were convicted and sentenced for the killing of Sandra Lyson in 1987.
We, the jury, find the defendant, David A. Bintz, guilty. Judgment of the court in the sense of the law that you, Robert Bintz, be sentenced to the Wisconsin State Prison System for the rest of your natural life.
Lyson was bartending at the Good Times Tavern on August 2nd. 2 days later, her body was found in the Machickeny Forest. A decade after that, while David Bintz was serving time for an unrelated crime, his cellmate told officials that in his sleep, Bintz had admitted to Lyson's murder with his brother. Despite no physical evidence, the two were convicted in the year 2000. At the time, John Zakowski, the district attorney who prosecuted the brothers, said this.
These old cases can still be solved if people come forward with evidence and if people keep working on it. That's what happened here. This case was basically solved the old-fashioned way.
But the two maintained their innocence.
I'm not going to take the blame for something that I didn't have nothing to do with. And I swear to God, I'm telling you the truth on that. I'm not taking the blame for something that I'm being accused of.
And last year, an investigative team in New Jersey found a connection to the DNA collected from the crime scene through intense genetic genealogy.
Once we realized that we were narrowing in on the right family, there was just a palpable sense of joy and relief, knowing that this was potentially going to lead to the exoneration and justice for these two brothers.
That DNA linked them to William Hendricks, a convicted rapist who died in 2000. David Gurney, who leads the team of genealogists, says this case shows that you can't always rely on a confession.
They knew that the blood and the semen found on the victim did not belong to those brothers. But the power of that confession sort of overwhelmed that in the eyes of the jury. And I don't think that's unreasonable. Ordinary people hearing a confession are going to believe it. It's very hard to come to terms with the fact that somebody could falsely confess to a crime.
And Wednesday, a Brown County judge vacated the brothers' life sentences. For the first time in 24 years, they'll walk free. In Green Bay, Marlo Lundak, Fox 11 News.
So the reason why, they went back and forth between 1987 and 2000 with the videos. So that's why, the year 2000 doesn't feel like that long ago, but, shit wasn't that great then. What the hell is that outside my window? Oh, I'm seeing like flashing lights. It's a bus. That's allowed. I'll allow it. But yeah, like looking at stuff from 2000, I mean, they're probably recording it still on a videotape or something. Oh God, I feel so old. I graduated in 2001.
Tennessee Bureau.
It was 24 years.
Tennessee Bureau of Investigation.
So, another terrible thing in justice. So now a few things happen, right? So the right person didn't go to prison in this case. So the victim never truly got justice. The family thought that they got justice, and now they have to go through all this shit again. And, back in 1987, police did things, that they definitely can't do today. To force confessions out of people. So there's plenty of false confessions. So let's see, where is I don't even know where area this is. WREG, Special Agent. I don't know. We're going to find out where the hell this is. But a state forensic scientist fired. So that's great. Forensics that you think are, totally accurate and, would convict someone over with evidence that's forensics. This person messed it up and now it has to be retested. So how many people are in prison or jail because of this person, or how many guilty people are free because of this person? I hate people that do stuff like this. Like, if I could go back to school, and could afford to, I would love to do stuff like this. I really hate people that have, had the opportunity to get this kind of training and then mess it up like that.
An employee who analyzed critical evidence linked to criminal cases from Memphis and Shelby County was fired after her honesty and ethics were questioned. It's all laid out in the employment files WREG investigators uncovered.
Our chief investigator, Jessika Gertler, presses to find out what this means for the criminal cases the employee played a part in.
Class C felony of aggravated assault, thousands of cases.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Handled at the Shelby County Criminal Justice Center every year.
We're dismissing the warrant that was issued for your arrest.
Each case must be built on evidence so strong there's no reasonable doubt the defendant committed the crime. 70 miles east in Jackson, the evidence in those cases analyzed here at the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation's lab. In August 2018, the lab hired Sarah Lawrence as a forensic scientist assigned to the forensic biology unit, which, according to the TBI's website, analyzes DNA and performs DNA profiling. A big part of what the unit does is analyze rape kits. In May, according to Lawrence's employment records WREG investigators obtained, she was placed on leave. 2 months later, the TBI director sent this letter. It states, despite warnings and offers to help, Lawrence continued to be involved in a personal situation that is not in alignment with TBI standards, adding it's believed she was dishonest with investigators and possibly court officers. It didn't go into detail, but stated she violated policies, including being professional and ethical at all times, having good judgment, and not knowingly become associated with any subversive organization. On July 30th, Lawrence appealed, claiming there was no explanation or evidence, later stressing she was one of the top producing forensic scientists in the state. But her and other statements given at the hearing that detail what exactly happened were redacted due to the state law. What's clear, the TBI stood by Lawrence's termination since some of the allegations present giglio issues. That word giglio being key.
We had a conference call with TBI and they detailed sort of the evidence.
Evidence that also caused concern for Shelby County Deputy District Attorney Paul Hagerman. He maintains the office's Giglio list, which names law enforcement officers who've had their credibility called into question. If the officer is needed or expected to testify, his team alerts the defense counsel, explaining why the officer is on their list.
We added her to our list on July the 24th.
And since then, they've identified 9 active criminal cases involving Lawrence's work.
Which we considered a good amount. It was a lot of DNA testing on the child sex cases that, are pending.
Hagerman says some were also cold cases. Most involved sexual assaults, rape of a child, or aggravated rape charges. The DNA evidence vital in each case. That's why he says the TBI is retesting it.
It's very rare that, TBI testing for DNA consumes the entirety of a sample. So doing more tests on, the samples and the evidence is normally not a problem.
Only one other TBI forensic scientist is on their list. In 2021, the former district attorney alerted the public defender's office, requiring them to get a second examiner to take a look at that evidence called into question, and reached the same conclusion before a report was issued. The difference now, the U.S. Supreme Court recently ruled a forensic expert testifying on another forensic expert's work could violate the Sixth Amendment unless both are made available at trial. That means if Lawrence was the only one to analyze a rape kit, she would be the only one who could likely testify and help jurors understand the results.
We need to disclose the problems to defense attorneys, and when possible, we need to retest and have a different scientist, testify in court.
Will it delay some of these cases?
So I think to answer that question, it's probably case by case, but I know that TBI is prioritizing it.
Agencies across West Tennessee send their evidence to the Jackson lab. We asked who else was alerted and just how many rape kits Lawrence analyzed. The TBI says it didn't have any information to share right now. What's certain, Hagerman says their office will be on alert just in case her work is attached to more cases.
Even if it's not a case yet, but maybe it's a case a year from now, it will get flagged and they'll be retested and everything.
Investigating for your news leader, Jessika Gertler, WREG News Channel 3.
Now, Lawrence did reach out to us tonight, saying in part that the TBI failed her and didn't seek the truth. She claims there was no evidence to support her firing and stressed she was a high-performing employee. The WREG investigators will continue to dig deeper into this story, and of course, we'll continue to keep you updated.
This is breaking news from.
Excuse me, I was not ready for that video. Yeah, that's terrifying that forensics can mess up that bad. But I want to know what organization she was associated with that they're questioning. That's really scary. Okay, so I'm looking up stuff that was popular when we were kids, like slang. Talk to the hand, the bomb, booyah, bling, yeah, chillax, dope, eat my shorts. Forgot about that. Crunk. I mean, crunk about it, yeah. Fly, all that. Jiggy, home skillet. Yeah, I'm sure our parents were thrilled with that stuff too. Yeah, good thing they don't discard evidence and hold on to it just in case. So this is a video. This video here is about the jury selection and some of the prosecution for Delphi. This is a video from yesterday. And because it's a 7-minute video, I'm going to put it at 1.25 just to speed it up a little bit. So that way we can watch through it. I fully expect this trial and everything surrounding it to be a shit show. I expect it to be pretty bad online because there's two very similar there's two very different sides to this case, and I'm worried it's going to turn out like Karen Reed on social media. So the only thing I can ask people, I'm not going to tell you what I think, I'm not going to tell you what to believe, but just think about the family, just think about the families, and just be careful what you say on social media because they do see. They are online. I know that one of the sisters is on Twitter. Kelsey, I've spoken to her, so just please remember that. That's all I can ask. All right, so let me put this at 1.25.
Fox 59 News.
More than 7 years after the murders of 2 teens in Delphi, jury selection in the highly anticipated trial of the accused killer, Richard Allen, is starting.
Allen, as you know, is charged with the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German in 2017. We now know that more than half the jury has been selected so far. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nick McGill.
And I'm Beershella Mang. Well, first pitch in the NLCS game between the Mets and the Dodgers will be in a few minutes from now. But in the meantime, we wanted to bring you live into the action with what's happening. Right now, we do want to get that update from jury selection in the Delphi double murders case. It is happening out in Allen County.
Yeah, Russ McQuaid and Max Lewis have been in court since this morning. They're joining us now live from the Allen County Courthouse, guys.
Good afternoon, Beershell. And so we have 11 jurors at this point. We need 12, plus we need 4 alternates. We still have 5 to go. 11 jurors, 7 women, 4 men, and our own Max Lewis has been in that courtroom all day long. And Max, you sat through all the jury selection, which has gone several rounds, which we never would have expected. What can you tell us, just short biographical sketches of who will be sitting in judgment of Richard Allen?
Yeah, and it appears that the 4th round just wrapped up because a prospective juror just walked out. So we should be getting hopefully an update here soon. But as you said, 7 women, 4 men. We know they include a FedEx driver, a school counselor, as well as a nurse. All of the prospective jurors were asked if they had any relation to law enforcement as well. 2 of the jurors do. One of them, their father is a police officer. The other has a cousin who is a police officer. So those were some interesting tidbits, and it was interesting to see the attorneys try and pick and choose who they wanted for what and what will suit their case.
Well, what I found interesting for the morning session when I was sitting in there, and that's when you start to hear the attorneys start to trot out what their theories on this and how they're going to present their case. So it was interesting for the first time you get to hear what some of the allegations are, one of the supposed strong points, but also where you could poke some of the holes in the state's case. I found it was interesting that he said, well, we've got Richard Allen confessing 61 times, but more or less saying to the jurors, how many of you watch CSI? well, how would you feel if we didn't have DNA and we didn't have a murder weapon and we didn't have all of our phone data? Right. To which left me sitting there going, well, they just must be softening up the ground, saying, don't expect we've got this, because we don't.
Yeah, there were a lot of questions about the evidence. How much evidence? The prosecutor kept asking, do you need a murder weapon to convict? Do you need DNA to convict? Some jurors said yes, some said no. It did sort of set up what we have known for quite a while, is that they don't have some of those solid core parts of evidence, at least that we don't know about. They don't have those for their case. The other interesting thing was the defense team, and they're poking sort of holes in the case already. By the way, the prosecution and the defense were each allowed to give a mini opening statement. It was about 5 minutes where they sort of laid out their case. And the defense, those confessions have really been a huge part of this case. But the defense attorney, Andrew Baldwin, said, well, Richard Allen did confess to killing the girls, but not in the way it happened. He said that Richard Allen confessed to shooting them and then burying them. Neither of those things have happened from what we can tell. So the confession basically sort of, putting forward that was a false confession. That's what they're having to say.
And to listen to both sides take the same coin and flip it on either side, for instance, with the prosecution saying, if you hear it from his mouth, do you take that as gospel? And somebody said, well, yeah, because he said it. And other people said, well, depression, anxiety, mental illness can make you say different things. And of course, the defense comes back with, well, what if you find out that he was living in some coercive incarceration conditions? Yeah. And a woman who was a nurse, another one who was a school teacher, I don't know if they made the jury, said, yes, that would definitely be something that I would consider. So like I said, it's interesting to watch both sides kind of work this, and you're starting to see it trot out, or they're both quoting the same evidence, but they're putting their own spin on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really is interesting to see the questioning. There are, a lot of people are very forthcoming, a lot of the jury, mental health issues. And, you could see each side sort of latch on to that, because the defense obviously would love to have them on their jury, more sympathy for mental health and probably sympathy for Richard Allen's state when he made those statements.
Now, are you surprised that we have moved this quickly through? I thought if we were lucky by the end of the day, we'd have 5. We're up to 11. Yeah. We've got a comrade inside the courtroom now, so we may even be at our limit right now. But I'm surprised to see this move so quickly right now through the system to get to this point.
Yeah, we're scheduled for 3 days here. In the first round of jury selection, they picked 6 people. The second round, they picked 3. Then the third round, they only picked 1 juror. So we, again, are getting our total of 11. Again, we believe that the 4th round of jury selection has wrapped up, so we're not exactly sure what the numbers are, but it does appear that it is somewhat slowing down, but still moving really fast.
Well, they sent out about 300 summonses to the good people of Allen County to come and serve on this jury, showing them 50 people into the room at a time, then putting 12 in the box and doing the questioning. I would have thought if you're asking jurors to drop their lives in Allen County to drive 2 hours away to Delphi to sit on a case that didn't even happen in their town. And oh, by the way, you get to stay at a hotel in Lafayette, away from your family, away from social media, away from, watching TV, watching media. I would have thought people would have said, this is going to be such a hardship on me. So I'm surprised that they've been able to fill this jury box as much as they have. However, I did find interesting at least one of the arguments this morning, Max, when a man piped right up before the attorneys even got a hold of him. He said, Your Honor, I got to tell you, I'm a psychic.
Yes.
And as a psychic, I'm very tuned in to the vibrations and to the emotions in this courtroom. And I can read this courtroom. And I've got to tell you that I've already made up my mind. And I would be a great asset to the prosecution if I were to serve on this jury.
Yeah, there were some funny moments. One person said they didn't like the color green. They wouldn't trust a witness who wore the color green. So there have been some of those sort of head turners in the court.
I guess they were looking for that. All right, we are standing by. We are still waiting for more information to come out of this courthouse. And when we have it, we will bring it to you online, live in Fort Wayne. I'm Russell McQuaid for Max Lewis, Fox 59 News.
Thank you, gentlemen, to you both. Of course, there's so many nuances when you're going into jury selection. So we're hearing just a peek of how this trial may go. And there's also more coming out from the family as well.
A lot more. We'll be covering this trial here extensively. As a reminder, though, the judge says there will be no cameras in the courtroom, so we'll just be relaying what occurs there inside.
And there's also a gag order in place, which means parties involved in this trial are not allowed to speak with people like Max, like Russ, the reporters out there. But Libby's grandmother did make a post on social media this morning. We want to share that with you. And it addressed Libby rather. And she says, quote, "Today is finally the day. We will all be there side by side to honor and support you. It all seems like a dream that is about to turn into a nightmare. Maybe when this is over, we will learn to move forward. Maybe not. One thing is for certain, though, we will live our lives loving and honoring you."
And it's important to remember another 2 young girls at the center of this. Abby Williams, Libby German, best friends when they were killed in February of 2017. The girls were in the same class at Delphi Community Middle School. Both of them played on the volleyball team and both loved to create art.
And of course, we will stay on top of every moment in this case. So thanks for tuning in. We'll send you now back to the National League Championship Series and the first pitch, which will happen in just a few minutes.
That's right. Tune into our news partners on CBS.
I agree. Silly pick. I don't like it when they compare real life stuff to like movies and drama. Like, it's not. This is a real life, real pain, real family. Becky, the grandmother, I met her not this year, but last year. And I also met the aunt of one of the girls and the sister. It's a lot of buildup for this. And when it's over, Like, one of the things that nobody talks about is that when a case like this, or when you're waiting for a murder trial of your loved one and it's finally over with, there's like this post trial depression almost, because your only goal for such a long time is to fight for your loved one, to get justice. And then it's like you don't know what to do with yourself after that. I went through that, and I went through it for months. And there's other families that I've spoken to that go through it too. So when these court cases are over, these families are still going through it. And there's so much that goes into it. So, I'm definitely going to be thinking about the families. I'm going to I think I'm going to reach out to a couple of them and just let them know that, I'm thinking about them. And I wish that there's something I can do to help, but there's absolutely nothing I can do to help. I'm hungry. Yeah, I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to do any of that. I don't like to speculate in cases. Yeah, it's not something that people really know or think about. Yeah, I know a few people that have done that, gone through that. So there's the post-trial depression, and like the fight is over. Uh, but anyway, I just hope that justice is served for the girls, whatever that looks like. And that's all I'm going to say. So in Harris County, in an apartment complex, there were 30 vehicles set on fire. So imagine you live in an apartment complex and 30 vehicles are set on fire. 30. And I thought, oh, maybe it was an electric car fire. Nope, they don't have electric plugs. they don't have that. So yeah, how do 30 cars catch on fire, and why? Why would you do that?
Well, the big question tonight is who is going to pay for
Okay.
the damages? Will it fall on the complex, or will the residents have to pay for it?
Investigator Bill Spencer has been at the Creole on Yorktown Apartments all day digging for answers as to what caused all of this destruction. He's live from the community tonight. And Bill, tell us what you were learning, and if it's true, this could have been much worse.
Keith and Daniela, it could have been considerably worse. You got to understand that the fire where this thing broke out in the parking garage inside that complex was located only about 75 feet from a major gas main. Had that fire reached the main, that could have destroyed several buildings, and you could have had multiple people killed. Fortunately, none of that happened. No one was injured here, neither the residents or firefighters. Fierce flames and heartbreaking destruction at the Creole on Yorktown apartment complex, as close to 30 cars and trucks go up in flames in the middle of a massive fire inside the parking garage. Houston firefighters fought the blaze that broke out about 4 o'clock this morning, a chain reaction fire that reportedly started with an electrical short and sparks inside one vehicle, but within minutes spread to close to 30 others. This is horrible. The biggest losers in all of this, residents like Shannara Benedicts, whose own car, a Ford Taurus that she and her fiance bought over just the last few weeks, it was incinerated.
Unbelievable. I had to go out and see if that was my vehicle. I didn't even remember if I parked it there or not. And then when I look and I'm like, I did. And I just cried because this doesn't make any sense. No secure place. We're at home. This shouldn't happen.
Now, the biggest question for all the owners of these cars destroyed in the fire, who's ultimately going to pay to replace their vehicles? Have you been able to talk to the apartment manager about who's going to pay for all of this damage to cars?
I did. And you know what she told me?
What did she tell you?
I'm sorry, but it's nothing we can do about it.
Youssef Al-Khatib is in the same boat. His dream car, a Mercedes-Benz, was burned, and he has no insurance on the car. He says because he just bought the vehicle 3 days ago, it was uninsured.
Sure.
Plex told you anything?
Y'all, I have never left a car lot without adding my new car to my insurance. Like, he bought it 3 days ago? No. You have to have insurance on your car. You are an idiot. Like, don't do that. Were you going to get insurance? And I hope the other woman had gap insurance. When you buy a vehicle, if they offer gap insurance, get the gap insurance. Get it and get full coverage. I know it's expensive, but like shit like this happens. Like I always got insurance before I don't know, maybe he bought it off of somebody, maybe it was a buy here, pay here lot and they don't have cuz anyway, yeah. Let me stop.
About if they're going to pay for this?
No, he tell me you just file with your insurance. I tell her I don't have insurance. She say sorry to hear that, and she gone.
This afternoon, we put that question: who's responsible to managers at the Creo on Yorktown?
Is the apartment complex going to take care of the fire damage to all of these people's cars?
Sir, we're not able I'm not able to answer any questions at the moment.
Okay, who is answering the questions?
We're not answering any questions.
So we went further, talking with an insurance expert who specializes in offering insurance to people living in multifamily units, Jake Passero with True Insurance Group, a 10-year veteran in the insurance business.
I do believe that this is going to fall on the actual owners of the cars themselves. If this was apartment units getting, burnt down or anything, and those individuals' belongings in that regard, I would say it would fall under the apartment owner. In this case, I would have to assume it's going to fall under the automobile policies.
Again, that was Jake Passero with the True Insurance Group. He says those people in that complex that don't have car insurance are going to be completely out of luck. Those people with car insurance, of course, are going to need to contact their carrier and file a claim. Once again, Houston Fire Department saying this was not a case of arson. At least nothing points to it at this point. It looks to have been unintentional, an electrical fire basically in one car that spread to others. Reporting live in the Galleria.
That's crazy. That's terrifying. But yes, please have insurance on your vehicles. Please. So we've talked almost every morning about the woman that is missing in Bexar County, Susanna. So now they have expanded their efforts into a landfill and a dump.
Our top story now at 5. Authorities are concluding the search efforts for a missing 51-year-old woman for the day. It has now been 1 week since Suzanne Simpson was reported missing. Within the last hour, crews wrapped up their investigations at a landfill on the Far East Side. KENS 5 reporter Meredith Haas joins us live from the scene. And Meredith, are officials giving any updates on the investigation this afternoon?
Yeah, Deb, good afternoon. So all we know is that authorities have moved their investigation to this East Side landfill. They just wrapped up for the day about an hour ago, but they do tell me that they plan to be back here first thing tomorrow. Now, as for why they came out here, what led them to this landfill, we do not know, but we're working to find out that information. Now, if they found anything or didn't find anything, we're working to find out that information as well tonight. Now, there is still a question of Suzanne's missing phone, as authorities have brought it up before and have yet to locate it. We just know DPS, along with the Almost Park Police, have a command center set up at the bottom of this landfill, and up above is where a section of dirt covering trash is marked off with caution tape. Again, they will not tell us what led them here in the first place, but we do know their last search area was in Bernie off I-10 and South Main Street. Now, Suzanne Simpson was reported missing the night of October 7th by her husband, Brad Simpson. According to an arrest affidavit, the two were seen fighting the night before at the Argyle and on their lawn the night of October 6th. Now, today, Brad sits in the Bexar County Jail on a $2 million bond. His bond hearing was actually canceled today, and he is facing 2 charges, including an assault charge. Now, last night, the family of Suzanne Simpson held a vigil. Suzanne's mother, Barbara, says she's lost hope.
I'd tell Brad that I would like to visit with him and ask him why. What happened? I'm shocked. I had a lot of admiration for him. I still plan to be his friend. And I don't know if the alcohol that they had at the party was his problem.
I'm sorry, what?
Now, Barbara also mentioned how she had spoken to Suzanne Sunday night, the night that she was reported missing, that Suzanne told her Brad had hurt her. And when Barbara asked Brad about it, she said that he got defensive. Now, at this point, again, the Almost Park Police and DPS, they have called off the search here at the landfill on the far east side of San Antonio. But again, they plan to pick that search up tomorrow. Reporting on the far east side.
She's still going to be his friend? She's in shock. I'm not going to judge her for that at all. All right. So I got one more video and then I have to get going, y'all. And of course, the last video is
tonight, a story of hope.
I always try to make the last video something to do with animals. Bear County, I'm not sure. I don't know if that's Judge Boyd's territory. I am familiar with Judge Boyd. I need to look up and see where she is. So, a good story, well, I mean, as happy as it can be coming out of Helen, a dog found their 11-year-old boys under the rubble. So, dogs are great. We don't deserve dogs. I love them so much. My dog is laying on my foot right now.
Tonight, a story of hope and survival after a family dog saved his 11-year-old best friend from a mudslide in the mountains. The boy now here in our area getting treatment at Atrium Health Hospital in Concord. WCNC Charlotte's Michelle Bowden spoke with the family about this traumatic day, and this is a story you'll see only on WCNC Charlotte.
This is really an incredible story. An 11-year-old boy trapped in the rubble of what's left of his home. The dog actually helped get rescuers to him. Now he's here in the Concord area where an entire nursing team has adopted his whole family.
Hello.
Jamie and Tucker have always been inseparable.
It probably would have died if it wasn't for Tucker.
When Hurricane Helene barreled through last week, that bond was everything.
It was terrifying.
The two were at home with Jamie's grandparents and sister Gemma, not far from Asheville, when a mudslide slammed into their house.
All of a sudden, I felt the house like this, and then I saw walls coming at me.
I was on the couch with Gemma. Then the house mudslided, and I face planted into a wall, like full body went flying.
Grandma ended up on the roof, but Jamie was thrown under the stairs in a pile of rubble about 12 feet deep.
It was scary. I thought I was all alone, no one else. I thought they died.
I had yelled for Jamie and Gemma and Michael. Nobody answered me. I didn't know for what everybody was dead. And I was screaming my head off.
It felt like forever down there. If I couldn't see sunlight or nothing, I just felt water dripping on me. I thought I was either going to drown or run out of air.
It was raining really hard and just flooding. And I remember seeing the little girl, but I couldn't find the boy. I couldn't find him.
Didn't know where he was.
Because I was screaming on the top of my lungs to my grandma, and she couldn't even hear me.
His best hope? His best friend.
Tucker, he was above me on top of it, and he was barking. I heard him whining and barking.
Yeah, he stayed on top of the pile and was just barking away. And I just thought the dog was going crazy. I didn't realize he had located the boy.
Tucker stayed put until firefighters arrived and used chainsaws to dig Jamie out.
Since he has a really big nose and really big ears, I think he could hear me and smell me. I thought he was trying to tell them where I was.
Jamie was flown to Atrium Health Cabarrus, where one nurse is fostering Tucker, and the rest of the team has spent their own money buying the basics for the family who lost everything, including their home.
Oh, I've been paying for it for over 25 years, $4,000 short of paying it off. And my idea was that it would be, paid off, and however long or short my life is, that we wouldn't have any more mortgage payment. And now it's all gone.
But they're so grateful they have each other. And of course, Tucker. The siblings had used their allowance money to pay for Tucker 3 years ago, saving the dog days before he was to be put down at a shelter.
And he was the last dog there, and when he saw us, he just ran right up to us.
So you rescued Tucker?
Yeah, rescued me.
Right now, the family really doesn't know where to go. So even though Jamie is healthy, he's medically cleared to go home, the family is actually staying here, the whole family, in this hospital room at Atrium Health Cabarrus. Everything you see here, the entire nursing team chipped in to get them because the family lost everything. Reporting in Concord, Michelle Bowden,
I love how the community is like surrounding them and helping them, that they can't, they can't have the dog in the hospital. So one of the nurses is taking care of Tucker in their home right now until they can find something. So good boy, Tucker. And I love that they went to the shelter to get Tucker and rescued him from being put down. And then Tucker rescued the little boy and showed them where he was. Good boy. Tucker deserves all the treats. I agree. Oh God. Yeah, that was a bittersweet story. Almost made me cry too. Uh there's so many stories, from the storm, but I was glad to see those people survived even though they lost everything. And hopefully they get the help that they need. Well, that is going to be it for this morning. I will be back again tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. That's a great question. Where do we send toys and treats? I know. I wonder if we can somehow find this family. Let me see. I'm going to share the link for the video in the chat. Maybe we can contact the news and see the news station, because I would love that. Like, I have worked so many disasters in Houston. It's been really hard for me not to just stop my life and go to Florida or go to North Carolina and help. I really want to, but I can't because I have my job and I could not. Well, Tokyo, I'm glad that you can join us. Yeah, I'll be back. I'm trying to do every day at 6 a.m., 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. Well, Central. Yeah, I want to help so bad. It's really hard for me to not help. I want to do something. So maybe we can find somewhere to donate or send supplies, and maybe we could do like a fundraiser on Kick or something. And I don't know, let's brainstorm and we'll figure something out, because I really would like to do something to help these people. But anyway, I love you all. I hope that you have a beautiful Tuesday and a beautiful rest of your day. Or if you're going to sleep, have some good sleep. I appreciate y'all joining me so early. I love you all, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye, y'all.